Today we got another MCU fight coming your way, with Captain America taking on Gamora. Who comes out on top? Let's find out. Born in Brooklyn, Steve was the son of a World War I veteran, growing up to be sickly, weak, and physically unimpressive. But he still persevered and tried to do the right thing even if it meant physical harm. He tried multiple times to get into the military because he couldn't stand others fighting while he just did nothing. Seeing his inner goodness, Dr. Abraham Erskine gave him the super soldier serum, believing that he would do the right thing and would not be corrupted by it. Transformed into Captain America, Steve Rogers fights for freedom and what he believes is right. Thanks to the super soldier serum, Steve has incredible superhuman strength, durability, speed, and reflexes. He's strong enough to lift a motorcycle with 3 women on it, lift a large steel beam off of Bucky after being injured, throw his motorcycle and crush a Jeep, and throw Ultron hard enough to shatter a concrete pillar. He's even managed to hold a helicopter in place, which, good lord, just look at that. Look at his biceps. Then in Infinity War, Steve goes on to temporarily hold back Thanos' hand, which is just insane. Cap also has impressive durability. He's taken attacks from Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Ultron, Spiderman, and was just fine afterwards. Then he's also started to fall from multi-story buildings, so the shield did absorb a lot of the impact, then started getting blasted off the bridge, bouncing off a car, smashing into a bus, and then getting into a car crash. Then in his fights against Thanos, Cap was even able to take devastating blows from the Mad Titan. Steve is able to run 13 miles in 30 minutes as a warm-up, outrun cars while he was chasing Bucky, and in combat, he will dodge Ultron, avoid energy blast and plasma fire. We've all seen how impressive his acrobatic and parkour skills are. Cap is an incredibly skilled fighter, able to defeat Crossbones, Black Panther, Winter Soldier, and Iron Man, and has consistently taken on huge numbers of enemies with ease. Then with his shield, Steve has been able to block attacks from Thor, Ultron, Iron Man, and Thanos, and has done it hard enough to where it breaks down doors, destroys vehicles, and can get stuck in steel. He's also got an incredible skill when it comes to throwing the shield, being able to ricochet off of basically anything, tag multiple people all at the same time, and do whatever the hell this is. So, that's what we got at one corner, the first Avenger, Captain America. But in the other corner, entering the ring, the daughter of Thanos, Gamora. Gamora is a former assassin and a founding member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. She became the adopted daughter of Thanos and adopted sister of Nebula, but only after he killed half of her race and slaughtered her parents in front of her. She served him for years before ultimately betraying him in an attempt to free herself from his ways. She was hired to steal the Power Stone for Thanos, but ended up helping found the Guardians of the Galaxy in an attempt to keep the stone out of Thanos' hands. Due to her zero-body heritage and her bionic enhancements, Gamora is superhumanly strong, durable, fast, and agile. She's been able to lift up a massive ship cannon and even hold it steady while firing it at Nebula. She sent Nebula flying backwards with a kick, and actually managed to hold onto both the Milano and Drax dangling from outside the ship as the ship went through a real rough crash landing. She's also superhumanly durable, and she's been able to withstand explosions at an extremely close range, withstood an intense electric shock, and kept on fighting through it, and Gamora's even briefly survived out in the cold vacuum of space for several minutes. Finally, Gamora has shown incredible speed and agility, being able to outrun gunfire, dodge close-range blaster shots, and even swiftly disarm opponents before they could even realize what was happening. And having years of fighting experience when carrying out Thanos' missions, Gamora is highly proficient in both armed and hand-to-hand combat. She's so skilled, in fact, that Thanos himself considers her to be the finest of all his children, and the fiercest woman in the galaxy. She also generally prefers melee combat, especially with swords, and she's used these swords to easily overpower Groot, battle against Nebula, and even cut down the giant obelisk. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now this is an incredibly well-matched and even fight, as Captain America and Gamora are two of the mightiest heroes in the MCU, are some of the greatest fighters in the MCU, are even both physically enhanced and superhuman. But who's ultimately coming out on top? Well, in order to figure that out, we first need to talk about physicality. That's going to be a large part of this fight right there. So even though the super soldier serum only elevated Steve to the pinnacle of human physical potential, Captain America has been pretty much consistently portrayed as being superhuman. I mean, the guy is insanely strong. He has consistently treated normal people like nothing more than ragdolls, sending them flying through the air or flying backwards across the room. He's even kicked and punched some people with so much power that they actually dented metal upon impact. He's managed to lift up a motorcycle through a man on top of it, lift another motorcycle and throw it hard to destroy a jeep, and even managed to lift a piece of rubble off of him and Black Widow, that was large as both of them. Cap has thrown Ultron so hard that he broke through a concrete pillar. He's managed to at least briefly overpower both Iron Man and Spider-Man, held a helicopter in place and prevented it from taking off, and definitely most impressively, Cap was able to temporarily hold back Thanos. He even seemingly staggered Thanos with his attacks during Endgame. On the other hand, while Gamora doesn't have nearly as many feats as Captain America, considering he's got 3 solo films and 4 ensembles, which has just been 4 ensembles, Gamora has shown that she is at least comparable with Steve when it comes to strength. She's been able to simply flex out of adult Groot's vines. She too has sent people flying backwards for attacks, actually causing Nebula to do a complete flip in the air. That she managed to kill giant monsters, a combination of her strength and her sword. However, there are 2 things that definitively put her on Cap's level. Gamora was able to lift and carry a massive ship cannon, and even held it steady while she was firing it, meaning she'd absorb all that immense recoil like it was nothing. There was also the time where the Milano was crashing while Drax was still on the outside, forcing Gamora to hold on to both the ship and Drax all throughout the crash. Those things could easily be comparable, maybe even superior, to some of Cap's greatest feats, like holding the helicopter. So then, what about durability? Well, this might actually be one of Gamora's greatest assets in this fight. She's been caught up in a massive explosion at an extremely close range. Yeah, it was fine. So had another explosion at point-blank range, took an electric shock powerful enough to illuminate her skeleton, and yet kept on fighting, and she's been pummeled at high speed directly into the side of a cliff and managed to brush it off. Gamora's even survived outside in the vacuum space, which is something that Steve could never do. But don't underestimate Cap. He survived at massive multi-story falls and an airdrop down from an airplane without a parachute, so that a Atari plasma shot that could casually destroy cars, and Steve was even fine after being hit with a grenade blast and being blasted off a bridge, hit, bouncing off a car, flying into a bus, then being in a car crash. That's all insanely impressive. But the most important thing for this fight is going to be Steve's durability to punches, kicks, and blunt force attacks. He's taken repeated punches to the face from Winter Soldier and didn't pass out, even though each punch is able to crack concrete. He's taken a super speed punch from Quicksilver, hits from Crossbone, Spiderman, and even a massive beating from Iron Man. Steve's didn't take attacks from Thanos before. However, only thing is, Cap has no remarkable durability to piercing attacks, so 1 or 2 swings with that sword, and the fight could wildly swing in Gamora's favor. But we're not going to talk about that just now. We still need to discuss speed and agility. Now, both of these heroes are remarkably fast and agile, but from what little Gamora has shown us, she uses her agility a whole lot more in a fight. Not saying that Cap doesn't use agility in fights, he definitely does when he needs to, but he tends to stay more grounded on his feet in a fight, while Gamora will jump and use it to put more momentum behind her attacks. But with speed, well, nothing that Gamora has shown us firmly cements her as being faster than Steve. Yeah, she's been able to dodge blaster shots before, but so has Cap, and he's done this on a routine basis. He's shown that he can run faster, easily running 13 miles in just 30 minutes, and outrunning the entire Wakandan army. And Steve also just fights at a much faster and more frenzied pace, while still displaying a crazy amount of finesse and skill. Gamora hasn't really shown us that level of speed while in a fight. And I get it, you could just chalk that up to choreography, so that since Zoe Saldana is doing her own stunts herself without a stunt double, they're just filming at a slower pace than with Captain America's stunt double. In universe, it's possible that Gamora is still operating at that same level of speed in a fight as Cap. But even if that is true, I'm not even saying that it is, but if it is, well, Steve has routinely fought people that are just as fast as him, like Bucky and T'Challa. So physically they are both pretty similar, with each having their particular advantages over the other. But if they're physically similar, That means that we need to hone in on their fighting skills and weapons. Now, Gamora is kind of an interesting character in that regards, because we don't really know where to place her with her fighting skill. In the universe, she's known as one of the best fighters and the most deadly women in the galaxy. Not only that, but she was trained by none other than Thanos himself, who's a highly skilled fighter in his own right and a warlord with a millennia of training and experience. But if you look at what she's actually done, well, she doesn't really live up to that hype. Yes, she's able to easily take down some prison guards. She's beaten Nebula in pretty much every single one of their fights. She's even fought against the majority of the Guardians before all by herself. And for sword, she's able to slice clean through Groot's arms and injure him. She even killed a massive monster by ramming her sword into a weak spot on its neck. But if you go for what she's shown us, Cap is better and the more skilled fighter. She was able to take down prison guards, while he was able to take down an elevator full of highly trained operatives, swiftly defeat multiple people and clear whole rooms, and actually routinely one-shot opponents. He's fought against multiple skilled fighters before by himself, battling War Machine and Black Panther by himself. He's also routinely fought more powerful and more skilled people than Nebula, going up against Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Black Panther, Crossbones, and Corvus Glaive. Then there's his shield. He is an expert at using it in a fight. He'll be able to block any attack that Gamora can throw at him, as it can even block blasts from Loki, Ultron, and Thor. He's also able to ricochet the shield over pretty much anything, can hit multiple people at the same time, no matter how Steve throws it. The shield always seems to find its way back to him. It also just packs quite a wallop, as it's penetrated Ultron's body before and busted through Iron Man's armor. But Gamora can still get a lucky shot in with that sword, and Cap knows this, which is why he tends to disarm opponents as quickly as he can when in a fight, and make it pretty much an immediate priority. I mean, look at his fighting against Red Skull, Winter Soldier, and Crossbones. Same thing could happen here. We've actually seen it happen before, when Nebula disarmed Gamora. End of the day, I'd see this fight in a pretty straightforward sort of way. Captain America and Gamora are pretty similar fighters, as both are physically enhanced and both rely on using close quarters combat to overwhelm their opponents. But looking at it that way, Gamora hasn't shown us that she can stack up pound for pound against Steve. He's physically overwhelming, a very versatile fighter. His shield is going to allow him to counter all of Gamora's attacks and weapons. Even without it, he can still outmatch her in a fight without too much effort. Don't get me wrong, Gamora will put up a good fight, but I really don't think she's bringing anything that Cap hasn't dealt with before and overcome. Steve is just better here. Captain America wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts, so sound off in the comments down below. Also be sure that like button, the subscribe button, turn on notifications, join the DanCo army, and I will see you all next time.